frustrating, and I just don't know what to say about what the government is doing about it. The same thing happened yesterday, and then the same thing is happening again today. We're not even sure about the time it's going to come on. So I must say, if the ladies are really watching this video, they should actually do something about this thing.
I understand your taps are not even running.
It's crazy. So I think this morning you have to carry your bucket, go down here, and go and fetch water before you can actually even bath. I don't know whether the whole light issue and the water issue is interconnected, but this has been, I think, the issue for the last 3 days or so.
Yeah. So what do you want done, Sly? So
seriously, if you just get the light working for us, at least when we come home, the light should be working and the tap should also flow. That's all we're asking of them. Right. They shouldn't do anything else for us. They should ensure these two things are working, because at this time, in the condition we are and the whole contingency plan for coronavirus, I think it's important that we ensure that at least these two amenities are actually working perfectly.
I am Frida Isiedwa. With the light situation, it's bad. It's really affecting. My fridge, my TV just goes off, comes on. I nearly had a fault with it, because when it went off and the light came back, I put on the TV, it's not coming on anymore. So I don't know, but they've not yet said anything about it, why it's going off, it keeps going off. No information, nothing. At first, if they even put the light off, they say something. We're putting it off from this time to this time, but now it's not like that. It just goes off and it comes on like that. Yesterday, for instance, it went off in the morning around 11 and came on at dawn. This dawn, 3 a.m., which is bad. At least they should say something, because we all prepare for work and all that. You have to iron your clothes. They don't say anything. The light just goes off. You come back from work, there is no light. You are preparing for work too, there is no light.
I work with CBG, Makola branch. And I'm surprised to get home to see the light off again. Because yesterday we were told from GRIDCo that there's a problem with GRIDCo. So I hope everything is solved. But for me to get home at this time and then to see this, I'm totally disappointed. Or at least there should be some information for us to know whether we are going to be off. So I also plan towards it. But just to come home to meet in light off like this, in fact, I don't think it's the best for us.
My name is Ada Tualasa, but everybody call me Area 1 in this area. The situation here is too bad. Since last week, we've been experiencing a bad electricity problem. A light goes off and then it takes the whole day to come. This has been happening for the past week. It happened on Sunday. It happened yesterday. Yesterday was even the worst of it all. It happened in the morning. The light went off at 9 o'clock, and they brought the light back around 2 a.m., if I'm right. And it is pathetic. When the president make declaration because of the coronavirus, we should all stay indoor. This light out has made it even worse, because there is heat and you cannot keep the children in the house because they are not going to school. You cannot keep them in the room. And going out is even frustrating. In fact, we are not happy with what is going on at all. I urge the government and whoever is in charge to do something about it. It is not helping matters.
Thank you.
And in fact, this La Paz New Market, our area is even worse than all. We are begging the president, whoever is in charge, that because of what is going on now, we are begging them to please do something about it.
Talking from La Paz New Market, and then we've been experiencing this light out stuff, I think somewhere last weekend and yesterday, the whole day, and this evening too as well, which is very bad. Sometimes selling is very difficult because there is no lights, and then we only use our phones, and sometimes too, like when our phone is off, it's very, very difficult. There is no candle too as well, and then when customers come, it's very bad. The place is very dark now as I'm talking to you, and anything bad can happen. So I think this is very bad. At least if they should give announcements on the FMs for us to know about that. Yeah, thank you.
Do you think we've gotten to a situation where we're in a doom so there should be timetables?
Yes, I think so, because of we've been experiencing this for a while now. I think since last 2 weeks. the light comes in and goes out at any time without our notice, and that's very bad. So I think there should be a timetable for us to know so we can plan ahead. Yes.
Residents and business owners around La Paz speaking to Kalakuda yesterday evening. In studio, Chief Executive Officer of Ghana Grid Company, Jonathan Amoakoba, Director of Systems Operations, Grid Company, Ghana Grid Company, Engineer Magba. Gentlemen, welcome to the show. Good morning.
Thank you, Bernard.
Good morning. Thank you for having us.
It's good to have you on the show. I still have Kojo here with me as well. So the people are not happy with what's going on, and
so.
I'm sure you heard them yourself. So maybe just tell us what's going on before we even say anything. What's happening? What's happening with this power?
Okay. We've heard from the people, and rightly so. I think for the past week, there has been some intermittent delivery of power to consumers, and so they are right to complain. And we apologize for the inconvenience caused to consumers. During these past few days, we've had various challenges with getting enough generation online.
Okay.
You know, power is generated and it's transmitted and then distributed.
Okay.
Okay. So if the power generated is not enough, then we are forced to curtail the demand in order to ensure that generation and demand is always, supply and demand is always equal. So that's what happens sometimes. And as I'm talking to you now, the situation has been resolved. This morning, we've even had to order the shutdown of some units because we have enough capacity to meet demand.
So if the situation has been resolved, which situation? Because what has been going on, I'm just checking my timeline. January 17, there was an issue, and that was at faulty transmission line, GRIDCo said. March 10, there was an issue, involved an OT. March 13, that was a demolition, so that's different. Then March 16, that was Saturday, there was an issue. March 17, and today. So if you say the issue has been resolved, is it the lack of generation that has been resolved, or the technical challenges? Because in some of the days you mentioned that there were some technical issues.
So in the list that you've enumerated, you observe that some were due to system problems, technical problems.
Okay.
So those ones have been resolved.
Okay.
Now, after resolving that, if you still have challenges with generation, just because there are not enough generation plants online, you will still end up disconnecting some customers.
Okay.
But currently, as I'm speaking to you, those that are required to be online are online because fuel is being delivered. And so that's why I'm saying that the situation has been resolved.
Okay. When the power went off on Friday, January 16, 17, it was a faulty transmission line. So that was an isolated issue. Then in early March, there was a power cut in Volta and OT. That was also a fault. So local issue resolved. Then Saturday, there was a widespread power outage. What caused that?
Saturday was also due to a fault.
Okay.
Which emanated from the western region, and it actually took out the high tension 330 kV kilovolt transmission line.
Okay.
So when you have the transmission lines going out, it means that power cannot be evacuated. So even though you have the generator working, if there's no transmission online, it means that there is a gap. So you still have an outage. Now, as I'm saying, if you have the transmission now working and you don't have the generator, it also causes an outage. Okay. So because we are all linked together right down to the consumer, any break anywhere can cause an outage to consumers. So
We've resolved the transmission issues. We had challenges with generation, getting generators online. I believe we'll go more.
Yeah. So on the Saturday problem, it affected Volta, Greater Accra, Eastern, Northern, and Ashanti.
Yeah.
And you're saying it was due to a disturbance in the system.
Yes.
What does that mean?
So a disturbance can mean that, we have transmission lines crisscrossing all over the country. Okay. And these transmission lines are actually parallel to each other.
Okay.
So, for instance, you have 3 lines between Tema and Accra. Okay. The system is designed in such a way that should any of these lines go down, the remaining 2 will be able to, so customers do not feel the impact. Now, what happens is that when one goes down and the power that is flowing goes on the remaining, it means that the remaining will be carrying additional power.
Okay.
In some cases, it happens that additional power becomes too much for those remaining. So in order to protect the system, they are designed to also take themselves off in order not to be defective eventually.
I see.
So in that event, you have what we call a cascading. So just one fault cascades into other. So you will have this widespread outage, and you see maybe Volta region going off or Greater Accra.
So that's what the system disturbance is.
So
the Saturday was a system disturbance. Then on Sunday, something else happened for which the ECG issued a statement on Monday blaming technical challenges from GRIDCo for the problem. So were they referring to the system disturbance we spoke about, or they were referring to something else?
I think that was in reference to the Sunday event.
The Sunday one.
Unfortunately, the Sunday, as I told you, the issue had been resolved. The system event
Good.
had been resolved. But then there was a challenge with power generation.
On Sunday.
On Sunday.
Saturday was system.
Yeah.
Sunday was generation.
Yeah, it had been resolved. Now, what happens is that we know the quantum of power Ghanaians demand every hour of the day.
Okay.
Okay. So our role is to ensure that at every point in time, every hour, we have enough generation to meet that demand.
Okay.
Okay. So for instance, by 10 a.m. every morning, the generators furnish us with data on their availability.
Okay.
So VRA will say, Akosomo, all the 6 units are available.
Good.
Or Pong, we have 2 units available. ASA comes out, car power. So we gather all that data. And then we schedule this generation to meet the demand.
Okay.
In some cases, there will be more than you need.
Okay.
So you ask some of the plants to remain shut down.
Good.
Okay. But there are cases like what happened in Sunday where you don't have enough generation
To meet the demand that you know you have.
Yes. So in that case, you ask the withdrawers of power. It means the distribution companies or industries that we don't have enough generation. In order to make the system stable, you have to reduce your demand. So that is what we might call ECG, that we have 200 megawatt shortage. So we need to reduce demand by what? 200.
Okay.
Otherwise, we will all shut down. So then ECG will have to go and into its system. Maybe I'll shut like Tabiokoshi 5 megawatts, Cape Coast, in order to make up for it.
So you won't decide which area will go. You will just tell ECG that you have a 200 megawatt shortfall. Yeah. So you decide how you're going to distribute it.
Yes. Okay. So that is what happens. And the generators that we were expecting were not online because car power had an issue with gas delivery into the plant.
Okay.
And once gas is not coming, they cannot generate. Okay. Now, we're also relying on AXA power plant, which can generate about 300 megawatts. Unfortunately, AXA did not have.
Car power is in the western
It's in
enclave.
the western region.
I see.
Okay.
And AXA
AXA is in Tema.
Dome.
Okay. And remember, all these are connected together by the transmission system. So it's acting as one unit.
So for this Sunday, the lack of fuel for car power,
Yes.
which is in the west, and AXA in the east, was the two,
Yeah.
which led to a shortfall of how many megawatts?
So car power is about 400, a little over 400. AXA is about 300.
Okay.
And around the
So
same,
that's 700.
Around the same time, okay, there was not gas coming from Nigeria to supply the Tema power plants.
Enclave. So
Enclave.
Asogli,
Yes.
Send Power, and all
All
these
those
guys
gas-fired power plants.
were not getting on the same day.
Around the same.
Wow.
So we have
Wow.
a coincidence of events where
Wow.
any plant that you want to fall on was just not available
Within the same period.
around the same time.
But Martin, let me come in.
Yes,
The
yes.
gas which was not coming from Nigeria was due to the fact that the pipeline was being picked, So that one.
This Sunday?
No, it started about the 20th of January.
No, but the pigging, we thought they had finished.
But then finishing is passing, but then you have to get the resource, and also they were doing some expansion works at the place which needed to be tested. So that was the reason why.
So they were not getting gas from Nigeria. So almost all the eastern plants could not. Asogli,
VRS,
Senate,
all
of them down, and at the same time, AXA
didn't have fuel.
And then car power.
Yes.
So in total, how much?
So
was
if you take the Tema enclave,
yeah,
okay, you are talking of close to about 800 megawatts
together
in Tema enclave. Those which could be fired are those which use liquid fuel. Same Power could use liquid fuel at a time, and then AXA. Unfortunately, there was no fuel at AXA, so they declared that they couldn't generate. Okay, now car power could use gas from the west, from our own indigenous gas. Unfortunately, there was a challenge in car power receiving.
Did they explain the challenge to you?
There was a challenge with a valve. These gas systems are very complex, so that was what we were told. There was a challenge with a valve, so they couldn't let in the gas. So all these happened around the same time, and that was unfortunate.
But I thought quite a number of the eastern plants were dual. So if you are not getting gas from Nigeria, they could use other types of fuel.
Okay.
So how come they didn't have the fuel to run? Because one of the major issues in the past few years has been the fact that if you have a plant that requires or uses only one type of energy, when there's a challenge with transmission of that energy, they run into problems. So you said there was some pigging, so gas couldn't come from Nigeria. But quite a number of those plants have a dual capacity.
So currently, I think most of the plants have that capability. So that's why Send Power was online. Okay. AXA uses heavy fuel oil.
So that's different.
Thermal, which is also a gas-fired plant, was also online with diesel. Okay, so those that had liquid fuel could run.
So it's a question of lack of fuel.
Yes, lack of fuel.
Which is probably a result of lack of money.
Well, when it comes, yes,
because we've not been told that there's a shortage of fuel in the world. So if the gas is not coming because of whatever reason from wherever, you can change to liquid fuel. And if you don't have the liquid fuel, it means you can't buy it.
If you don't.
But those plants that had liquid fuel were running, as he said.
No, only one
was running, and then the VRA plant in Boom, the Kontema plant was also running.
So those two were running?
They were running, but then their total capacity was not up to the required figure that we needed in the country.
Bernard, if you look at the system data, even the plants we say were running, they've not been running consistently. At least I've been looking at data from the 10th to the 16th. Send Power, some days run, some days they don't run. If my data is wrong,
you can correct us.
Data to correct. For example, on the 10th, on the 9th of March, right, Send Power was running 2 units, 180 megawatts, Then on the 10th, they're running 2 units, 180 megawatts. Then on the 12th, 2 units, 180 megawatts. Then on the 13th, they were not running any units. Right?
This is same power.
Same power. I can give you for the other plants. On the 14th, they were not running any units. On the 15th, they were running only 1 unit, 98 megawatts. On the 15th, they were doing 121 megawatts. Right? On the 16th, so 15th was Saturday, 16th was Sunday.
16th was Monday.
16th, they were doing 0.
So from 13th, they've been challenges with same
they
power.
were doing 0 off peak, and then peak time, they did 121 megawatts. If you look at AXA,
Do you have AXA?
now we've been talking about 16th, they were doing 108 megawatts. Now 16th peak time, they were doing 108 megawatts. Off peak time, they were doing 15 megawatts. Right? Now same AXA, 15th, they were doing 46 megawatts. Same AXA, 15th off peak time, they were doing 15 megawatts. Right? 14th off peak time, they were doing 14 megawatts. Now same AXA, 13th, they were doing 15 megawatts. Right? So like the generation has not been consistent. Even for the
plants that are dual in nature. His point is that even when we needed some of them, they failed us.
And Bernard, if I could make a point, I think we should not limit the power challenges people have been experiencing to just the past week or the past 2 weeks. Because if I pull my Google Maps right now, we monitor Facebook and Twitter and what people say. And whenever somebody posts something that my power has gone off, sometimes we ask the location, then we will pin it on the map. Right? And this has not been something which happened just last week or just last 2 weeks. This power thing has been happening consistently.
How far back does your data stretch to?
For example, let me just give you 2015 peak load was around 2,500 megawatts. Now it's around 2,900 megawatts, almost 3,000 megawatts. But if you look at the data, average you do like 2,400, 2,500 megawatts peak load generation, which means that consistently I am seeing a trend of about 300 to 400 megawatts shortfall peak load.
Is this correct?
So it means that consistently we have been shedding load.
Is this correct?
No,
That is the data I am looking at.
Okay, let me just rephrase. He's saying that our peak load is between 2,900 and 3,000, and consistently we've been generating around 2,500, 2,600. So there's a 300 or 400 shortfall over the past how many months?
It's not been just last week and last 2 weeks. It comes on and off, like over the past.
So can you comment on what he's saying?
Let me come in. Demand changes with time,
season
and conditions. If the weather gets, for instance, very hot. For instance, the day we experienced the peak in demand, 2,900, the temperature was very, very high.
Okay.
So you have ACs on and everybody is switching ACs, cooling. So you have that high demand. So we strive to meet that demand. Now, over the past few months, like we mentioned, the pigging issue. Okay, what we try to do is that when, he rightly gave some data, inconsistency in generation. Maybe once you see car power AXA 15, then it rises up. If the plant, for instance, advises us that this is the amount of fuel I have, okay, because the peak demand is in the evenings, okay, and we don't want to inconvenience customers, we prefer that, okay, what you have, we want you to average it during the day, and then during the peak time, instead of 15, give us maybe 100, so that we can meet the peak demand. So you wouldn't have constant generation. Sometimes, depending on the temperature, depending on how the demand is going on, you vary this, dispatch them in order to meet demand as much as possible.
Let me ask you a question.
And also to stretch the fuel, as you said.
So let me ask you a question. If you take the average peak demand from January to March, can you give us the figure?
The highest ever, as I said, is 2,000.
No, I'm not saying high. I said average. So can't you draw?
The average is what he mentioned. It's about 2,400, 2,500 megawatts.
We are trying to help people to understand the
exactly.
issue.
Yeah.
So if you say, I know what an average is, I'm not saying the highest day. So between January and March, your average peak demand is 2,900.
No. That is the highest that has been reached.
That's what's the average. Because you can draw, if you plot this histogram and you can run an average and tell me it's around 2,700
or
something.
I said 2,400, 2,500. That is the
average peak.
Average peak demand. Yes.
Between January and March.
Yes.
And what's the average availability in terms of supply between that same period?
You see, when it comes to demand and you use averages, sometimes it becomes so deceptive because I want to meet demand, for instance, now. Okay? I want to meet demand every time of the day. Okay? It has just happened that sometimes demand is, let's say, 2,700 and average availability, available generation is maybe 2,600.
You see,
so it happens that way.
Simple. The weather changes every day.
Yeah.
You can ask what's the average temperature between January and March. That's climatic data, different from daily temperatures. It's the same thing. So I'm just asking you, your average peak demand between January and March of 2020, if you compare it to average peak demand in 2015, clearly it's higher.
Definitely,
Good.
It is.
That's why we're asking. If you compare that to your average availability or what the system is generating, clearly that average amount we generate within the peak demand hour is lower than the average demand, which is what Kojo is saying, that then there's a shortfall of between 200 to 300, and you've not disputed that.
No, we've not disputed that. So there have been shortfalls, okay, and we consider there have been shortfalls during some days.
No, if you average the demand and the supply, there will be a gap within the period. That's what we are saying. That's what we are putting to you. You concede that.
We've not disputed that.
Yeah, that's all we needed to agree to. And so if you agree to that, so if you agree to that, that the average demand is higher than the average supply by a certain number, what is the cause?
So we have a demand and supply, okay? We've not always had the generation, the available generation that we wanted. We've not always had it up to the demand that we wanted during some of the days. So in that case, we have to bring demand down. As I told you, there isn't something like overgeneration. Generation, supply and demand will always have to meet. So that's why we are in the middle there. Our role is to ensure that demand and supply are always equal. If supply is low, we have to bring the demand down.
Good.
Otherwise, the system can collapse.
Is it fair?
So during this period after January, we've had challenges sometimes with generation, and we've accepted that. There are some times when you want the generators to come in, they've also had challenges, possibly normally with fuel. They don't have fuel available to generate enough quantities for us. So in that case, we have to manage the demand in order to stabilize.
Just to clarify something, you need to distinguish for listeners what your installed capacity is and what your available supply of power is. It's important because we've heard it said that we have more power than we need in terms of installed generation capacity. Yet, based on what Kojo has said, at least for the past 3 months, probably longer period.
If you even go into 2019, I wanted to pull some data that because usually when it happens, I put them on Facebook.
Yes, so the information is there.
Yes, so April 2019, okay, around 2:25 p.m. our power went off at home. Checked the grid and we had just 667 megawatts of power. I inferred that only Akosombo and Pon were supplying power. Most parts of the country went off. PDS released a statement that GRIDCo wasn't giving them enough power. This is not the first time this has happened in recent times.
And this is a year ago.
This is April 2019.
Good, so I just want to ask a question. You made the point, Kojo. I just want to ask a question to Engineer Mark and Engineer Mr. Makuba. Just to clarify point. We have proved that consistently for the past few months, demand has been higher than supply. But we've been told that we have enough generation capacity. So what I want you to do is to distinguish between generation capacity and availability of power, so that everybody can understand what it means.
Okay. So in Ghana, we have a number of plants installed. Now, when these plants are being installed, the manufacturer says that this plant can give you, let's say, 200 megawatts. That is the installed capacity. Okay. So if you add up all the capacities that have been installed, we are running a little over 5,000 megawatts in Ghana. Now, we said that the highest demand ever on our system is what? 2,900. So someone will ask, oh, what happened to the 2,100? Okay.
Yes.
So what is important is that of this installed capacity, what is available to meet demand? Okay.
So it's a more useful number, available capacity, than installed capacity. Good.
That is what you use in your homes, or what you are using here in the FM station. You are using energy. That is what you pay for. ECG bills you energy. You are interested in energy,
not installed capacity.
Not installed capacity. Now, for this installed capacity to work, I need to fuel it. So to bring it home, as a colleague of mine says, assuming, looking at you, I'm sure you own a Mercedes Benz.
Oh,
okay.
You are speaking by faith. You are speaking by faith, not by sight. I receive it.
So, assuming you bought a Mercedes Benz, okay, and everybody in your village or in your area is praising you have a Mercedes Benz, okay. If you don't have money to buy fuel to put in your Mercedes Benz, you'll be walking home.
That would be too funny.
So, install capacity is good. We have excess installed capacity. But what is essential is that we have to put fuel in that installed capacity to become energy for you to use in your homes, in your offices, or wherever. So every time of the day is this fuel there for you to run your capacity to deliver energy to customers.
Okay, fair enough. Now, since we've established that there is a shortfall between what we averagely need and what is averagely available, we don't know what number it's, whether it's 200 or 300, we don't know. Why doesn't GRIDCo or ECG fairly distribute the outages on the basis of some schedule? Why is it being arbitrarily done? Because people have asked for a low shedding schedule. In fact, the people from La Paz asked for it because we clearly established from the numbers that we will need at least a 200 to 300 shortfall. We have. Why hasn't either your company or the ECG decided that, to be fair to the public, we will take the 200 from different places in a certain consistent fashion, also known in English as a load shedding timetable? Why haven't we done that?
The challenge here is unlike what we call the doomsaw era, where looking into the future, you know that consistently you have a shortfall of maybe between 150 and 200 megawatts going on into the future. Then you can issue a schedule and say that this is the challenge. So you will go off, customer B will go off. If you look at the list he provided, you see that this shortfall is not persistent or consistent. Okay.
Really?
As I'm talking to you today, today I've told you that we have even shut some plants units down. Okay. Now, you resolve doomsaw not just by buying fuel today. If you buy fuel today and tomorrow you don't buy fuel, the lights will go off. So there has to be that effort to consistently ensure that fuel is available for the generating plants. Now, because we have resolved the situation today as I'm speaking to you, I'm not saying that next week it will be the same. It will be the same if there is effort to ensure that the fuel is always available. Okay. Wow. And if next week Sunday's shortfall happens again, I'll be forced to go back to NEDCO, to ECG, to industry, say there is a shortfall.
I'm surprised because I thought we just established that the more important number is available capacity. And that available capacity has proved to us, at least for the past 3 months or so, that there is a shortfall of at least 200.
So now,
I'm not sure that is the right thing.
Really?
No.
I thought we have
started
established
only
that.
when the pigging started, and even during the pigging period when it started from January 20th, we never had this until
But February
about
28, 2019.
Yes.
The whole of yesterday, there was no power at home. The grid data said projected peak load was 2,500 megawatts, and available generation at peak was 2,300 megawatts. Actual generation at peak, as I write, is 1,996 megawatts. This local fault kind of doomsaw is not acceptable. It is becoming way too regular. Did we go or did we come?
What date was this?
This is February 28, 2019.
And I told you that the pigging started January 20th, and we are talking about February.
No, but sir, I interviewed. I interviewed. I interviewed Mr. Oreku Edu. I interviewed him in February. This was 21st February or so, and he told me that the pigging will end by 26th February.
As a matter of fact, the pigging ended. I told you that they were doing some other work at the station, and they were testing it, and there was a problem. That's why the gas is not coming. If the gas starts coming, we wouldn't have this problem.
So this recent March 16, March 17 issue is not pigging. The lack of gas is a different issue, but it's still gas.
Yes.
Still from west
from
of
the west of Ghana, and then from the east also of Ghana.
The east one, you said, is a cable, a valve.
No, yes.
That is the west.
Sorry, the west.
And even the east one to survive. They have done some expansion at the metering and regulating station at Tema, where they want to increase the throughput of the gas from 120 million scarf to 240 million scarf, which means that the whole of the Tema enclave would be able to use more gas to generate electricity. But then they had to do a performance test.
But this was anticipated, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, it was anticipated.
So if it's anticipated, it means that the plants that can go off gas and use other fuels should be rallied to meet that shortfall.
Exactly. So the issue is that, as we have said, it was anticipated that they were doing the test and that gas was coming, and then the valve shut by itself. It was an emergency valve, and they could not open it to allow gas to go to the machine. At the same instant, there was another contingency which was not anticipated in the West.
So this problem would not have been felt if
it hasn't happened in Abuaze or Takrady. The problem would not have been felt.
Okay, now I'm not an engineer, but I'm thinking that because we know that these problems of pigging valve are regular, that's why you did your planning and had different types of plants. So you have the water-based Akoto, you have the bui, you also have the gas-based ones, and you have the crude-based ones and the HFO ones, because you are trying to diversify. So and we've discussed this for many years. My view is these things you've described are normal, in the sense that in every year something like this should happen. So if your diversification is well done, we should not be having outages because you can easily switch. Do you understand? So exactly. my concern is why, in spite of this foreknowledge, we are still having consistent outages without any plan.
Okay, so as we plan, you also plan for redundancies. Okay, there are more things which happen. There are more things which happen that you don't see because the redundant system is able to absorb the problem.
Okay.
The challenge comes when you don't have enough redundant, for instance, generation. Okay. In that case, anyone that goes down, there's nothing else you can do, because what you had planned for is not available to absorb. So sometimes, why is it that, as I'm telling you, we've shut down one Akosumo, you shut down one Abuja. Should a fault happen, let's say at Taxa, Akosumo can easily absorb it, or we can easily absorb it. Okay, but when you have a case where all that you have available is already online, there is nothing else redundant. The moment there's a fault somewhere, it means you have a shortage. No generator is coming to help because none is available. Okay, so sometimes we've had such challenges in the system, and we are now having gas coming. The faults that happen, as my chief executive, we hope that these things are not going to happen, and once we've started having fuel, we will be
okay. I have two more questions for you, but I'll come back to you. I have to understand the role of GRIDCo in the overall power chain, and because we have ECG, we have GRIDCo, we have VRA and other people, we have to also understand the position of debt, whether you've been paid, because a few months ago some of your workers were not happy. We want to understand those things as well, and then also we will need you to tell us going forward what to expect. So those are the three issues, but let me do a few quick announcements. And I'm sure you know that because of the social distancing, people have to stay home, so they need more power. So I need you to assure us that whilst they are home, they will not be fanning themselves with papa, but that they will have
I love fanning myself with
papa. They will have proper fan and air condition. All right, so still on the Citi Breakfast Show, we have still here Engineer Mark Ban, who's the Director of System Operations. We have the CEO himself, Jonathan Makoba. Myself, Bernard Kojo, is here with me. Your questions are also coming in with a lot of alacrity. But the Samsung Galaxy S20 will change photography with pioneering features like the 100 times space zoom. You can experience the world in a new way. The Galaxy S20 series is now available at all authorized Samsung dealer stores nationwide. Let me tell you about an innovation that's happening between CFO and Alliance Life. So, buy a car like the Mercedes says I was going to buy, qualify for a 5-year life insurance cover equivalent to the price of the vehicle. Get a full life insurance cover worth the full cost of the vehicle you are buying. Yes. Now, CFO in partnership with Alliance Life offers you this incredible product. It's called Auto Life by CFO. So we will pay your premium for the first 3 years out of the 5. If there are no claims, you get a cashback benefit upon maturity. If there's a permanent disability or the insured passes away, the beneficiary gets the full cost of the vehicle purchased as benefit. So next time you want to buy a car, think about Auto Life by CFO Motors and are written by Alliance Life and Drive Assured. Call us on 0302 742 100. That's 0302 742 100. Now, First Atlantic Bank has introduced a set of mobile banking applications and a USSD shortcode *442# for banking transactions. Download the First Atlantic Ghana mobile app from the Google Play Store or iOS Store. For all your mobile money transactions, instant fund transfer, payment of bills, purchase of airtime, and more, use the Purple experience on mobile. It's safe, secure, and simple. First Atlantic Bank, refreshingly different. All right, now if you want a sofa that is comfortable, that is durable, and that is good quality, you want colors that you can play with, different colors to match different hues and moods. You want it for your office, your home, or hotel. Latex Foam is your one-stop shop. We are your right destination, whatever your choice and budget. Latex Foam is your partner for life. Well, it's 8:29. We couldn't bring you tech and social media trends, partly because the things trending are known. COVID-19 is trending. Doomsaw attempted to trend before the power came back, so the Doomsaw trend was short-circuited. Be that as it may, Standard Chartered Bank sprouts be associated with that segment. Now, Ghana's #1 digital banking app, SC Mobile, is a year old. To say a big thank you for being such wonderful customers, we're giving away some amazing rewards. During this time of celebration, you could get your deposit doubled, get free shopping spree, free data and talk time, vouchers for shopping to dining, and so much more if you transact on SC Mobile. Pick up your phone now, download the SC Mobile app, open an account on your phone, fund the account, start transacting, and win some big prizes from Standard Chartered Bank. Now, if your data is not enough or you think your data runs too fast, try Vodafone, Ghana's only gigabit network. Dial star 700 hash on Vodafone. We don't just talk about giving you more for less, we actually do. We've doubled the data allocation on Vodafone. For 10 cedis you get 1.5 gig, for 20 cedis you get 4 gig, and for 50 cedis we give you 10 gig. And when your data bundle runs out, you get free WhatsApp, Facebook, and Instagram. We'll take a short break. When we come back, my guest will answer your final questions on what to expect in your power supply in the coming days, whether their debts have been paid by their sibling companies, and what was going to happen in the next few days. Hold on, stay tuned, we'll be right back.
This is timely and authoritative. Citi TV offers the best news and current affairs programming every weekday on Mondays and Wednesdays.
Probing and informative, direct and instructive. Join me, Bernard Avle, this and every Monday and Wednesday at 9 p.m. on The Point of View on Citi TV.
Every weekday from 8 p.m.
Get up to date
with the leading news stories of the day.
Your comprehensive news coverage from across the country.
Citi Newsroom is your trusted daily news package.
Every weekday, 8 p.m. on Citi TV.
Make a date every Tuesday evening.
The politicians and key personalities speak to me, Godfred Akoto, on Face to Face every Tuesday at 9 p.m.
Keep updated throughout the day on 2020 news.
For regular news checks as they unfold.
Politics, sports, entertainment,
business, and much more.
2020 News. We bring you the news in 20 minutes.
Every weekday evening.
Stay updated on the key business issues of the day with me, Vobio Say, on the Business Dashboard every weekday at 7 p.m.
Friday evenings.
My name is Caleb Kuda. I host a show that turns the news on its head. Join me this and every Friday on Backpage at 6:30 p.m.
Comprehensive and trusted news and current affairs programming. This is Citi TV. Citi TV is live. Citi TV is a free-to-air digital channel. On a digital TV, please press menu on your remote control and run a news search on your TV. Take note that without an antenna, you cannot access Citi TV on your television. Citi TV can be accessed on a multi-TV digibox. Tune into Citi TV and experience your world. Citi TV, it's your world. Tune in to The Point of View, Mondays and Wednesdays at 9 p.m. as Bernard Avle takes the news further. He will bring the right guests, ask them the relevant questions, and get you the real insights you need on the big stories for the day.
Now, when the minister is saying they didn't do a pressure test, question is, why didn't they do a pressure test? Because you have two geological bodies and you want to know whether it is the same oil so that you can understand how you will sweep it and how you can develop it. So they have to do the tests. From all the maps, all the geologists and everybody we talk to says it's two different geological, and as such it is a new discovery.
The Point of View with Bernard Avle, Monday and Wednesday nights, only on Citi TV. Point of View is brought to you in association with Stanbic Bank. Moving forward. Timely and authoritative. Citi TV offers the best news and current affairs programming every weekday on Mondays and Wednesdays.
Probing and informative, direct and instructive. Join me, Bernard Avle, this and every Monday and Wednesday at 9 p.m. on The Point of View on Citi TV.
Every weekday from 8 p.m.
Get up to date
with the leading news stories of the day.
Your comprehensive news coverage from across the country.
Citi Newsroom is your trusted daily news package.
Every weekday, 8 p.m. on Citi TV.
Make a date every Tuesday evening.
The politicians and key personalities speak to me, Godfred Akoto, on Face to Face every Tuesday at 9 p.m.
Keep updated throughout the day on 2020 News.
For regular news checks as they unfold.
Politics, sports, entertainment,
business, and much more.
2020 News. We bring you the news in 20 minutes.
Every weekday evening.
Stay updated on the key business issues of the day with me, Bobiose, on the Business Dashboard every weekday at 7 p.m.
Friday evenings.
My name is Caleb Kuda. I host a show that turns the news on its head. Join me this and every Friday on Backpage at 6:30 p.m.
Comprehensive and trusted news and current affairs programming. This is Citi TV.
I have a lot of questions for them, and let me just read some on WhatsApp and Facebook before we take their final comments. Good morning, guys. The Ministry of Energy disputed claims made by minority that there was no money to buy fuel. So what's stopping the ministry from supplying power to other installed equipment? Good morning, Bernard. Ask him what our installed capacity is, because as far as we know, or as far as we were told, we have excess installed capacity. So what's the excuse of managing to meet demand? Engineer Wisdom. He just explained that in my previous question round. Bernard, ask GRIDCo what the demand is and total generation capacity presently, and if there is need for backups. Community 22 and Lebanon in Ashaman experience outage at least once a week. The thing is, power generation must be slightly higher than demand. The engineers are just bookish. They should tell us their backup plan. Kofi. Good morning, Bernard. The GRIDCo officials are not being forthright. There is no money, but they do not want to say it as it is. Truth is that every entity in the value chain is owing. VRA owes Ghana Gas, ECG owes GRIDCo, government owes ECG, GRIDCo owes generators, the generators owe fuel suppliers. Kennedy Adenta. Which one is not true?
GRIDCo does not owe generators. We don't buy electricity, so how can we owe generators? We don't owe generators.
So you don't owe anybody?
No.
I think let me clarify something.
Okay.
Our role is a transporter.
Okay.
Okay. A market woman in Agboblush can ask a transporter to go and bring her goods from Yendi, maybe yam. The yam does not belong to the transporter. GRIDCo does not buy energy. We facilitate transaction between the suppliers, the generators, and the bulk consumers. So we are transmitting. We are just paying the transport fee. The energy, the electricity does not belong to us. We cannot buy by law. We are just facilitating that transaction. So we are in the middle playing a coordinating role, because it's a power system. You need, like you have a referee in a match, and that is what we are doing, playing that coordinating role,
yes,
to ensure that the system is stable, that we are delivering quality power to
you.
you.
Saying that the claim he's making that you owe the generators is wrong.
It's wrong.
Yeah.
But
we don't buy power from.
But don't you owe banks?
Oh, definitely. We went for loans to modernize the system, to build transmission lines.
Yeah.
So definitely.
So GRIDCo doesn't owe generators but owes banks, because I'm asking.
Yeah,
you
we
because
owe banks.
I'm looking at your books. Your gearing ratio is very high, so you are a highly leveraged company. In fact, the 2017 gearing ratio is 1.48. If any gearing ratio above 0.25 is a problem already, and you are not only are above 0.5, you are over 1. So you are a highly leveraged company. You owe a lot.
Yeah, we do owe a lot.
So when you say it's not true, the identity of the person you owe is what is not true. But the fact that you owe is true.
Or every company owes. I mean, people owe banks, and so we also owe banks. As Max said, we have contracted loans to build projects, and we need to pay these loans, you know.
But is it right if he says ECG owes you? He also said that.
Oh yeah, that one is right. ECG owes us, as was stated. We carry the goods for them. So if we have brought the goods, then definitely they would have to pay us.
How much do they owe you?
Currently, they owe us in the vicinity of about 800 million Ghana cedis.
Ranging over what period?
Oh, it's way back.
The debts are accumulated.
So
800 million cedis. Then that's worrying you, right?
It is.
Because it affects your ability to buy new machines, change the lines, keep your system running, because you are in the middle of the power system.
Exactly so.
So once you don't, and I think buying new equipment and keeping them running is a key part of your work.
Yes.
So if you don't have money for expenditure on this, it will hamper your ability to transmit the power to us.
Definitely. Yeah. But a lot of talk is happening now to ensure consistency in such payments, because as you rightly said, we also do need money to make sure that the lines, the towers, the substations are maintained in order to deliver the power to
you. You are working under extreme difficult conditions. You are trying to keep the system running, not having as much money as you need to keep the system modern, and you also need to yeah. So it's a difficult place to be in.
It is a difficult place to be in. Yeah, but we are hoping that in the immediate future, the steps that are being taken will yield the fruits.
So, but this definitely goes beyond you, because it means that some higher authority has to compel your sister company to pay you.
Exactly,
because
so
this is not something
as you are saying, Bernard,
it's
beyond us, and as Mark rightly said, something is being done about it. As you know, the government is trying to put in place the cash, the waterfall mechanism, cash waterfall mechanism, whereby all the monies that are collected will be put into a pot, and then what is due, everybody will be allocated.
So that somebody will not keep it and say,
exactly,
I'll use it to look good and make you look bad.
Yeah. So
because we are all affected. Yes. Amazing. So that's a good one. So let me just read a few more, then we wrap this up. Thank you for staying with us. Someone wanted to know how much of Access 300 is actually available. We should go beyond install megawatts of power plants to know how much is available.
As Mark said, when we talk about availability, then we should have total availability. The install capacity is 300, as he said. But then the example of your Benz in your
my Benz
comes to mind. Yeah. So you have the Benz, but then you don't have the fuel.
No, I don't have a Benz. Let's just say that
you don't have the fuel. So ASCA has 300, and anytime that there's shortage of fuel, they will not be available. I mean, so
but
if they have the fuel as we speak now, ASCA, the delivery of fuel is going to ASCA. So we are hoping that this evening.
Let's read a few more comments. So by this evening, AXA will have. Bernard, I work with one of the. Bernard, I work with one of the power generation companies in Tema. Everything we are dealing with in the power sector is technical. A single valve failure can cascade to blackouts all over. You might be thinking, why not automate or something else? The most reliable systems fail sometimes. Not to say that all our systems are failing. Not all the systems can be online waiting for emergencies, so they mitigate the issues. Our government can't afford this strategy. Everything your panelists are telling you is the truth. That's Kojo. Okay. Good morning, gentlemen. Don't let us kid ourselves. The problem is inconsistent availability of fuel because of lack of funds. If crude oil is available at the Tema Enclave, Senate and TTP1 will run. Also, to have backup to give us high degree of redundancy, the pipeline between Tema and Takoradi must be constructed as a matter of urgency to move gas from the west to the east. This reverse flow on WAPCO pipeline was a waste of money that will not resolve the shortage of fuel in the east. Interesting point. We'll take a comment on this. Yes.
Let me ask a question for the people in Kumasi.
Yeah.
Why is it that Kumasi has consistently, beyond the last week and last 2 weeks events, been having power outages? Kumasi has been, and I say this on authority, people listening to us in Kumasi on our 3 affiliates can confirm this. Kumasi has consistently been having power issues. It goes on and off anytime. And Bernard, all these are reasons why I'm
That's different from Accra. Because Accra, we've had it in terms of like this week. It's been quite consistent. But when I check, it was maybe early March and then...
Even Accra, if we were to ask people to call to share their power availability experiences with us, you would see a trend.
But you're saying Kumasi is worse.
Yes.
Based on the feedback you are getting.
When I would say that when your lights or your power goes off, the first thing that you need to do is to check whether you are a prepaid customer or you are a postpaid customer. If you're a prepaid customer, check whether you have credit. If you have credit, then maybe your service line is off. Or your local transformer might be off, or your local substation might be off, or the GRIDCo substation that supplies your local substation might be off. So these are the things that you need to check when your power goes off. So if you tell me that consistently maybe an area is off, it could be that it is a local lashing coming from their local substation. If it is a whole area, it might be from the GRIDCo substation.
But sir, I know that you keep data. So if you look at the NITS, you know the lines going to Kumasi.
Exactly.
And you know the power you are evacuating to Kumasi and the Ashanti region areas.
Yes,
so
definitely.
you keep data on the power you are evacuating to those areas. Could you share with us the amount of power you evacuate to Kumasi consistently? because we know the average load consumption of the Ashanti region in Kumasi. So if you could share with us data on the average of the load you evacuate, then we'll know whether Kumasi is getting enough power or not. Because I'm saying this because I used to live in Kumasi, and almost every single day I get somebody tweeting at me, Facebooking me, or calling me to tell me to complain why their power has been so inconsistent.
Maybe let me come in here. Kumasi is such a central point in the NITS, okay? And so you see that there are a number of transmission lines going to Kumasi, and from Kumasi you have a number of lines going out to the rest of the country. So Kumasi is a central point. So you would observe that over the years, Kumasi has suffered, for instance, voltage problems. You know, Accra Tema might be good, but you see that Kumasi is a sink because of apart from Accra Tema, Kumasi is the next. The huge load in Kumasi, and then the mining concerns in the Ashanti region. So Kumasi has been a challenge. When we energized the 330 kV transmission last year, we saw a vast improvement in voltages in Kumasi. Okay. All this morning we've been talking about generation supply-demand issues. Okay, and the fact that there have been a number of cases where we didn't have redundancies in the system. Okay, so if you don't have a redundancy and one generator goes down again, you see the frequency just falling, and the power system, if it's not checked, could collapse. So in that case, sometimes we resort to emergency load shedding. Okay, and so you find maybe Malam being affected or Kumasi being affected a number of the times, and that is why, as you rightly said, you might have been receiving those tweets from Kumasi. I agree with that. There are problems in the system, but once we have, as thankfully now we have the redundancy that we are in the generation sector as we are expecting, so we don't expect Kumasi to be going down again. All we are working at it is to ensure that there is enough fuel for these plants to work, and GRIDCo will deliver the power going on.
I'm also looking at the Energy Commission's energy supply and demand outlook for Ghana 2019. I've not seen the 2020. It's out. They've not put it on their website. And in 2019, it was estimated that we'll spend about $950 million to get fuels for our various plants. 2020, I believe, is going to be the same amount. Based on the planning of the various players in the sector, do we honestly have the money and the resources to ensure adequate supply of fuels for our plants going forward, based on the planning that we've seen within the various sectors? Because now we were talking about the various plants, and you mentioned that some of the plants are dual, and we have them here.
So I think that this question is being directed at the wrong people. We make all the calculations with the Energy Commission and say that this is what we need. It is for somebody to take the decision to go to buy the fuel. It is not for me to say that we have the money, because the money is with somebody else.
Yeah, that's
final question.
Okay.
GRIDCo used to have a platform where people, especially journalists like me, would go and check what was happening on the grid to know whether we were having enough power or not. GhanaGrid.com has been decommissioned. Now
you expunge the website.
Yes. Now your new website, which is also it's your old website, so you had two websites. GRIDCoGH.com. If you go on the website and you go to services and you go to systems operations, which should provide information about what is happening on the grid for transparency purposes, there's nothing there. You click on it, it brings you back to your homepage. Why are we not putting up a platform where Ghanaians will see what is happening? Because now the power issue is not just for the technical people and the people in the sector. It's an everyday thing which is affecting all of us. Why have you decommissioned that and not have it on your website for us to see what is happening?
Okay. Well, the unfortunate thing is that our website was hosted by somebody. and the person decided not to host it again. So it had to be decommissioned, as you said. We are creating a new website. It's still work in progress. We haven't completed, and we intend to put every information about GRIDCo and then the grid on our new website. You know, because I mean we cannot keep information to ourselves because of the RTI. Even every Ghanaian is supposed to have information about anything and everything in Ghana. So it's still work in progress. That's why maybe when you get there, it takes you back to your homepage again. But then I assure you that pretty soon we are going to have it up and all the information that you require as a journalist to help you in your work.
Are we still exporting power, by the way?
Exporting power, of course, yes.
To which countries?
Burkina Faso and Togo, Benin.
Irrespective of what happens here, we still...
Maybe let me come in here.
Just explain how that works.
On an annual basis, there are agreements between generators, for instance, VRA, and our neighboring countries on quantum of energy that we can give them. Okay, based on the fact that, as we said, we have a lot of installed capacity. Okay. However, when we entered into this crunch period, we've exported on a particular the maximum of 400 megawatts, for instance, to all our neighboring countries on a good day. Okay. But currently, we've told them that we can't do that. Okay. So the 400, we reduce it to about 150 megawatts. Okay. Côte d'Ivoire, for instance, asked VRA from January to import 100 megawatts from Ghana. And we've asked them that that deal should be suspended until going into the future, we are sure that there is enough fuel to meet the needs of Ghanaians first, then we can facilitate.
Okay. My final question is that we are in a difficult time as a country. The president has asked all of us to reduce social interactions. School has been cancelled, church has been cancelled until we get a grip on the corona. That means there will be more pressure on the demand for power in a sense, for home usage. We are not sure about industrial usage, but once people are staying home more, they will use gadgets, the fridge, ACs, and all these things. What does that mean for you? I'm trying to give me a sense of whether you think there'll be more demand or less demand within the period because of the new arrangements. No school, people should go home, or it's going to even itself out. And then the question is, whatever the analysis is, what plans have you put in place to ensure that between now and whenever the virus goes away, we will have power at home and at work?
What we believe is going to happen is that there will be some increase in the average demand. Normally, there's less demand during the day, and then it spikes up after people return home.
Good.
But now we expect that during the day, there will be some appreciable increase in demand. So what we do in GRIDCo is to do what we call a day ahead. The power you are enjoying now was planned yesterday. Okay. So we do a day ahead. So the forecast is now telling us that demand is going to notch up. And we tell the generators that this is what we want. Okay, so make yourself available. So we'll continue to work with the generators, and we expect that they'll be doing more to ensure that fuel is available. Okay, because we are still in the hot season. March is our summer, and we expect that demand will go up.
So you are planning for that?
Yeah.
We wish you well. Thank you for coming. Engineer Mark Ban is the Director of System Operations, Chief Executive Jonathan Amakuba. Thank you for being on the program. Listeners, we thank you for staying. We have a quick break. When we come back, we are going to Corona again. Quite a number of people are commenting about panic buying. But the comments you read were brought to you by EcoBank. If you're a trader or merchant looking to grow your business,